I was pretty adamant last year about some of the stuff that went on with College GameDay, and I let them know about it. I was currently calling games on their digital platform, ESPN Plus and Big 12 Now, and they didn't take it very well, I guess, the criticism, and I was asked to no longer call games there, and I immediately in that moment knew that was probably the right choice, right? That just our values weren't in sync. I wanted to celebrate college football, and at the time, Washington State and Oregon State were both undefeated, top 15 teams, and instead of celebrating college football that day, they made a joke about it, and unfortunately, they just kind of doubled down on it, and I think when we look back on it, we're going to see that they were on the wrong side of history there, and so when the opportunity presented itself this year to call college football games, I didn't know I'm going to be calling a lot more NFL games this year on the radio with Westwood One. But, I wanted to still, kind of have a footprint in college football because it means so much to me. And what could mean more to me than my alma mater and what Oregon State are going through, and to be a part of that, to tell the stories of these players, of these coaches, and these organizations, and watch what Teresa Gould is going to do to move this forward, because, this isn't over. Like, there's going to be another shakeup here, when that college football playoff media rights deal is up, and they're going to be, the fact that Washington State and Oregon State, held on to that brand, the Pac-12 brand, I think is a meaningful thing.
Just one thing on ESPN. I mean, they will hold up that shoulder programming and say, look, it's just free speech. It's just opinions. It's great that people are talking about college sports, but when people start talking back at them, they don't take it very well. And, I have always said, Ryan, that like, you gotta feel good about where you're working. And so, I'm not surprised that you, and I've talked to you about this before, I just think you're an authentic person. I'm not surprised that, you sniff that out and you kind of go, okay, if you don't think there's room for me, then it's not somewhere I want to be. Like, I don't want to be a part of a club that wouldn't have me, kind of thing.
Yeah. What's ironic about this, John, too, is that I'm more confident now in myself with all the scars and all the judgment and all the baggage, because I like who I see in the mirror, than I was when I was a professional football player, which is, was an amazing statement to make. It just is. It's just the acceptance of myself with all that comes with it is such a freeing thing. And makes me feel really good about doing the next right thing. And then not caring what anybody else has to say about it. Like, I don't care if you judge me or think of me like this. I know who I am. I like that guy. Let's go call some Pac-12 ball.
Did they call you and say, hey, we can't have you talking like that, or we're pulling you off games, or did they just take you off the schedule and that's how you know? Yeah,
the coordinating producer calls and says, hey, we're going to take you off. And I said, well, you're not making this decision. Somebody else is. And he said it was above his pay grade. And so I said, can I speak to the above the pay grade people and hear this? And so when they called, it had been a few days, I was able to kind of corroborate, what I thought had happened. And when they talked to me, they were, they almost confirmed it. Well, they did confirm it, actually, that it had a lot to do with McAfee and Herb Street. And I said, well, that's good. That I don't want to be a part of something like this. And what's ironic is that, I really like calling football games. It's my favorite thing to do in broadcast sports. They didn't pay me anything, right? They paid me like $1,500 a game, like nothing. You got guys on that network making $1 million a game and doing the same thing that I'm doing, but I don't care. Put me in a parking lot with the high schoolers and playing 7-on-7 or something like that. Like, I just love it. I love looking at the film all week. And so I didn't care, that I was calling Sam Houston State in Houston, it's just cool to be in talking with coaches, being in the stadiums and calling games. So there was a sadness to it because I lost that, but I immediately called my boss at Westwood One, Howie Deneroff, and I just said to him, I told him the truth. I was like, hey, this is what happened. I don't want anything else to be, said differently. And he's like, I got you. We'll get you some more games. And sure enough, he got me some college games. I called the FCS championship game. And then I ended up calling 7 NFL games out of the final 6 weeks of the season, including 2 playoff games. So it was incredible to see, somebody have your back, know that you work hard and do a good job at it, and then allow you to go out and do it. And so really grateful for him and the opportunity, really grateful for the CW and the opportunity. I think that for me, I always want to get better. And I think being in the booth with Ted Robinson, who's an absolute legend, is going to just make me better and make me a better analyst. And that's all I can ask for.